And we're going to switch gears now from the Middle East. We're going to move a bit closer to home, to the DRC and Rwanda. We're going to turn our attention to the ongoing crisis. I think that is well documented, and us here in South Africa know all well too well. The Democratic Republic of Congo, where fighting has been escalating between DR Congo and the M23 rebel group in the east. Recently, there's been a surprising development that took place in Doha, Qatar, where President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC and Paul Kagame of Rwanda held talks for the first time in months, and they're calling for an immediate ceasefire. This breakthrough comes after years of tensions and accusations from DR Congo, including claims which I think are very, very substantiated. And by now, I think it's a known secret that Rwanda has been backing the M23 rebels, with over 7,000 people reportedly killed since January. The situation remains dire, and the road to peace seems fraught with a lot of challenges. And joining us today to discuss this very, very complex issue is Musinguzi Goodluck Ronald, a journalist and editor with Kigezi News in Uganda. Uganda, a very, very important player also in this. They're almost seen as a buffer zone between the warring parties, Rwanda and the DRC. And Musinguzi has been closely following the developments in the region. Good luck, Musinguzi, sir. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure chatting to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm on the Sudan border and Uganda. I'm happy that I can be able to talk to you. And indeed, from the last time we talked, a lot has happened.
Yeah, a lot has happened. And, in the forefront of that is, the recent meeting between President Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame in Qatar, which comes as a surprise to many. What was your initial reaction and your assessment to, cause of a ceasefire and, sitting around the negotiation table and smoking the proverbial peace pipe between these two parties, especially when you consider the history of tensions between the leaders and their respective countries?
Thank you very much. Indeed, it was a surprise. If I can take you back a little bit back when DRC was having elections, the president of DRC, Tshisekedi, really made tough statements on the personality of Paul Kagame, and could be maybe assassination. I'll come, I'll pick you up, I'll do all those things. And therefore, those words put the region under tension. And therefore, we couldn't believe that this time will come one day when these guys would meet, after those verbal abuses flying like missiles. But and even I can go a little bit back and say to my condolences to the soldiers of South Africa who died. And for me, when I saw that meeting, and sometimes I'm a human, I feel bad that should we have lost people? Should we first lose people, soldiers, South African soldiers, and any other people who are dying for us to have such a meeting? And therefore, it comes as a great positive thing, but the cost sometimes, we should have done this so many years ago, that if people are to meet and discuss, because words are not enough when guns are sounding, when bombs are all over, people suffer. And therefore, to the people of Congo, to the people of the Great Lakes region, I think we are surprised, and we hope really whatever was discussed come to be done, so that every human being in this region, the people don't deserve to be refugees. I'm just here looking at what the Sudanese, what also happening in the Sudan, in southern Sudan, and therefore for me, this brings hope that if a foreign country, if Qatar had to do it, thanks to the Emir of Qatar, we really are very grateful. We didn't think that on the African continent anybody would do this. You have seen sanctions left and right, European Union, US, and therefore there was no hope. And to those in the Middle East, thank you very much. Even when you are going through whatever you are going through, you're also able to stretch a hand and help to those who are helpless out there in Congo, to the women and the children who, when the guns start sounding, they just pick what they can and they start running away. And this is a place that's very cold. It's not your normal place that people have to go through mountains and all that. And what is interesting, last night and maybe the other day, there is a mountain called Nyilangongo in Goma. It started erupting. I also hope that people will not really face another double jeopardy, double suffering, where you have magma now coming from the ground burning them. And therefore, to everyone watching, we need really to applaud, instead of pulling down, bringing other issues that could derail this. Let's have these people meet, talk, but also let's have the ceasefire, so that there is no advances on the front by M23 and other groups. And at the end of the day, we need to see restoration of peace. And therefore, and thanks for having me. I mean, I saw pictures. Up to now, they're in my head. I couldn't. At first, I thought it was a hoax, but it turns out it is very true.
I know you're feeling a bit positive. You feel there might be some glimmer of hope. But something that is very, very concerning is the fact that the M23 rebels have refused to attend peace talks, which were initially supposed to be in Angola, and have continued their offensive. They are continuing to capture key cities in the DRC. What do you think is driving the M23's unwillingness to engage in these negotiations? And do you see any signs that they might be open to a ceasefire? Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has said to the DRC they should engage in direct talks with the M23 rebels themselves. How realistic is this suggestion? And also, what does it tell us about Paul Kagame's own, thoughts and how he would ultimately like all of this to pan out? Because I think one would think he would play a simple role as a mediator between M23 and the DRC itself.
Over the last 10 years, Uganda tried to push President Kabila to have to talk directly to these people. I remember covering some of these stories. People went to Nairobi, but you could see the unwillingness on the side of Congo. And it has taken 10 years, and now we have gone back to the same skirmishes. And I think for me, the DRC, because the other time, the first fight, M23 went to Goma, and the regional leaders, including especially President Yoweri Museveni, called some of these people and said, let's give a chance to dialogue. Please get out of this place and come back and negotiate. And what happened? The DRC was talking to its allies for an armed conflict and eventually pushed them out. And today we are seeing something else. That the M23 said, let's go in, get Goma, get Bukavu, get other places until these people come on their knees or maybe to the negotiating table. And therefore, if the DRC government, because it was at an advantageous point when people were still at the borders with small places, but now the M23 has moved. It has taken north, it has a footprint on North and South Kivu. It has those big towns, especially covering the Banyamulenge people. For me, it's a little bit of the M23 will not trust the government of DRC for now. Because 10 years ago, they had chance to do it. You see that there are these things where you say, For example, if I said you are not a journalist, but you are live on TV, and you know, we are in those discussions, who is not, but eventually, by the time you agree that you are all on TV and therefore you need to talk, so much has been damaged. So for me, if I was a person in DRC with authority, I would send emissaries, maybe from the intelligence system. They start some of these engagements at that level, and they agree, because you know, some of these people who are in the M23 were already in the DRC army. It is only that when most of their friends were killed, they ran away. These people have numbers in the army of DRC, some of them. And therefore, if you think Rwanda may be the allegation that they have supported, first leave that aside. First look for those ones who have the numbers of your army, those who you think are part of you but have rebelled. Talk to them. So for me, I think everyone who tells the DRC that talk, but when you go back to the elections again, the message was, we will not talk to you, we will push you, we will kill you, we will do. You get, but you know, time is good. In our lifetime now, we are able to see Kagame meet the president of DRC. It means also this one can happen. It means, let them listen. You see, talking to you doesn't mean I'm going to agree to what you're saying. But let me first listen to you. Have that one-on-one, that talk, because everything has been tried. War, fighting, all these things have been tried. They have failed. But people are suffering. And all of you claim you are representing the people. How do you represent the dead? So to the people of DRC, they deserve better. They deserve seeing that these men, you know, put down their egos, the ego. So for me, when the president of DRC goes back home, let him initiate something using his military. But you see, what I've also seen, the message coming from DRC, anybody talks about that, they will kill you. They will think you're a traitor. So they need to downgrade on the anger. They need to downgrade, because you see, if they were strong, they would have flushed away these guys. And they go wherever they go, they become refugees somewhere. But if they have stuck in and they are also willing to fight, and we have seen more death, I think for me, we shouldn't. I pray that the DRC should know that they are not now they don't have an upper hand for now. They don't. A few months ago, 2 months, 3 months ago, they had. What did you use with your upper hand? That is another question. Today, you are in a position where if these guys move up to Kisangani, that's like 1,000 kilometers. Kisangani is like the third or fourth largest city in Congo. If they take it, just know they are going to Lubumbashi, and the next thing they are going to Kinshasa. And therefore, if you're a government, you don't want to see that. You want to keep these guys where they are. They are not interested in going to Kisangani. They're interested in north and south. Talk to them, see, come up. I mean, for me, there's this wild thought I always have. Why I make one of them the governor of that place, and life starts moving. I don't know if that would work, but apparently the mood in Kinshasa is anybody who says they should talk to M23 is a traitor, should be killed, should be banned, should be so for me, calming down a little bit would help our region. Because for me, as a journalist, every other time I see people carrying these small things, a mat, somebody carrying a chicken, somebody pulling a goat, that's the only possession they are they are leaving their home, going hundreds of kilometers away from their homes. Even when they come to Uganda, even when they are hosted here, all of us, nobody wants to be a refugee. People want to go back home. And therefore, if it will call for somebody to pull down their ego and
We seem to have lost Musinguzi there for a moment. But yeah, I think we were at the end of that conversation. But I think very, very interesting to see what comes out of those peace talks between Rwanda and the Congolese leaders, Tshisekedi and also Paul Kagame. And that's going to be interesting, particularly is the conversation on the M23 rebels, the accusation that Rwanda has been arming and supporting them, which, well, they've refused. It's become a really sore point, a point of contention for some time now. And it will be interesting how those allegations will be tackled in the current peace talks and if they'll be addressed in any way between the two leaders. So it's going to be interesting how these peace talks unfold. But I think as Kigezi, as Musinguzi Goodluck there alludes that why should people die? I mean, we have our own troops, our own South African soldiers. These are our brothers, these are uncles, these are fathers, who are serving the nation, trying to, enforce peace, if I can put it that way, in a very, very important region of our continent. And well, they wouldn't have lost their lives if, as Musinguzi there mentions, people just let their egos down. Because how do you talk after so much bloodshed? You could have just avoided it by sitting around the proverbial peace talk and started negotiating. But yeah, they've left it to this late, and it's not just the people of the DRC that have suffered. It's also the people of the continent. It stretches. It even reached us right here in South Africa, where we have our own people, those that were serving in the SANDF with their uniforms off. They're just like you and me. They're citizens of this country. They are uncles, they are fathers, and if they've left people behind, all because of egos. So it'll be interesting how these peace talks continue, and we'll be keeping a close and very keen eye on them. But we're going to leave that conversation for now, and we're going to take a quick break.
Spiritual